Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your ticker guy coming at you from wonderful Niceville, Florida. Hey, let's talk about this awesome, incredible budget deal that the Republicans and Democrats agreed on last night. $38.5 billion in spending cuts. That's not a very big number, seeing as our federal government has run between $1,500 and $1,700 billion in budget deficits for the last 3 years, as you can see from this awesome chart. So how did all of that happen? How does a government manage to do that without having interest rates go to the moon and end up, well, like Greece? We've done that doing this thing called quantitative easing. Let's explain the simple form of quantitative easing. I take a $20 bill out of my pocket, nice, crisp. Ooh, that's upside down, isn't it? $20 bill, well, it's worth about that much too. And we put it in our left pocket. It doesn't actually make us any richer, does it? No, it's also against the law. That would be direct monetization, which the Federal Reserve is not allowed to do. So to get around this, the Federal Reserve does this wonderful thing of putting a dollar bill on our head first. That would be the primary dealers. They buy it, and then the Federal Reserve buys it from them and sticks it back in the other pocket and says, oh, look, we have done this great thing to support the economy. And you have. I don't think you actually changed anything. You took a dollar out of one pocket, put it in the other. That doesn't seem to do much of anything. What it does do, however, is depress the value of the dollar. Oops. Yeah, that's kind of happening, isn't it? And, that makes the price of gold and silver go up because people say, oh, gee, I see what the Fed's doing. It's a bunch of scams. But you don't need to buy gold and silver, do you? Well, hey, let's look at some other commodities. How about cotton? Cotton has gone up an awful lot in price. We don't need to buy anything like, for example, this shirt that I'm wearing. That's not very important. We don't need to have any clothes. We can all run around naked. That sounds like a really great idea. And we don't need to have anything to eat, right? That would be corn. Corn hasn't gone up in price at all, has it? No, it hasn't. And then we don't actually have to drive to work either, because we can all sit around and just do a lot of nothing. Well, wait a minute, you do have to go to work. How about the price of gasoline? Yeah, that's because we import an awful lot of our oil. And then you have mortgages. Oh, we're going to save the housing market, so says the Federal Reserve. Except the price of housing mortgages is pretty well tied to the 10-year Treasury. And that's kind of gone up in rate too since they started this quantitative easing. So what we have here is a government that is spending like a drunken sailor, a Federal Reserve that is supposed to be independent but really isn't, and is enabling this, kind of like a heroin addict who is mainlining his heroin, and the drug pusher is happy to give him more heroin as long as he figures out a way to do something for the pusher. Not so great. All right, so let's look at the reality here, folks. Here it is. Here is the great chart. Here is your federal spending, and this is the historic level of cuts, along with quotes by people on both the left and the right. Hey, listen, if you're a Democrat and you think these were historic cuts, 1%, yeah, very historic. If you're a Republican and you said you were going to cut $100 billion and you got 38.5, neither of those numbers is particularly impressive, given that we are spending almost $3,700 billion. And finally, to those of you that claim to be affiliated with the Tea Party, fiscal responsibility, look at this graph again, okay? 43 cents of every dollar that the government spends is borrowed. Congress, you're a fraud. The Tea Party, you're a fraud. All of you in Washington, D.C. Stop parading and patting yourselves on the backs for something that is a scam, a fraud, a scheme, and a lie. And cut it out. Because if you don't, this is going to be used to do that. Got it? Thanks. Have a nice day.